Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy, our weekly video game news podcast, broadcasting live Fridays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/DCTF podcast. It is Friday, May 11th, 2018. I'm your host, Lex, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Booge.
We've got so much news today that I cut a bunch of stories before we started.
We don't get to talk about Thanos?
We'll get to talk about Thanos in Fortnite. Listen, Thanos is in Fortnite. Nobody cares. It's stupid. Also,
We don't get to talk about Marvel product?
has the check cleared? Do I like it?
Do I like it?
We also are going to be talking about how Steam has a Steam Link app, or will in a week. Because, I mean, we'll just talk about that when it actually comes out. It probably won't work.
Probably. I wanted to say about that one thing, I do own a Steam Link, and it doesn't work on wireless at all, so I have no hope for that thing.
Oh, Gabe.
Gabe.
So, what we are going to talk about is an array of delectable stories from this week's news, including some spicy rumors coming out of the spiciest rumor mill imaginable. Canadian Walmart.
Canadian Walmart, eh?
Yep.
I don't know if anything could be more white than Canadian Walmart.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Sony and their E3 aspirations. After that, we're going to talk about big announcements from Nintendo this week about their online services, followed by the continuing shame of Destiny 2, followed by EA ignoring everybody and just doing what they want to do to make that cheddar. And then finally we're going to talk about a lawsuit in response to a lawsuit in response to a ban in response to skin gambling.
Oh, it's Skinception.
Ew.
Gross.
Speaking of gross stuff, let's talk about Walmart, shall we?
Oh, no.
So, news story from 2 days ago, the 9th. Did Walmart Canada leak the E3 2018 lineup? Step right up and try your luck at guessing which is real. So, basically, Canadian Walmart posted a thing by mistake that was a bunch of box art, or not box art. Placement titles for games that will be available for pre-order. And then people noticed and they immediately took it down. Or so the story goes. So thanks to the intrepid Wario64.
Yes.
The screenshot
He's legitimately
was saved.
a good guy to follow. He usually gets some hot leaks.
So we've got the image of all of these fantastic titles. And it's got some stuff that seems realistic and some other stuff that seems not realistic. Mostly, I was taken aback by how boring this all is.
Yeah.
But
I was taken aback by how expensive video games are in Canada.
Yeah. Because, they got to pay for that healthcare somehow.
I guess.
But, yeah, so for those who aren't watching, but rather are listening, here are the titles that were provided. Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Splinter Cell. They're re-releasing the original Splinter Cell. Insurgency, Sandstorm. The Last of Us 2, Just Cause 4, WWE 2K19, Assassin's Creed Origins, Ace Helix. I don't know what that means. I don't care. Dragon Quest 2 for
Dragon
Xbox.
Quest 2.
Yeah.
The game that came out in the 80s.
Yep. Far Cry, PS4 Far Cry 5, Silver Bars add-on. Okay, so it's, yeah, whatever. Just Cause 4 for a different console. Destiny Comet. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Metroid Prime 4. NBA 2K19. Super Smash Brothers. Borderlands 3. Assassin's Creed.
It's just Assassin's Creed. No apostrophe.
The Destiny Comet for a different console. Lego DC Villains. Final Fantasy VII Remake again. NBA again for the Switch. Beyond Good and Evil 2 for the PS4. Rage 2 for the Xbox One. Ooh. Dreams. Oh,
Yeah,
I know what that is. I forgot about
yeah,
Dreams.
it's
Everybody always
a Media
forgets.
Molecule game
Yeah.
that's never coming out.
Yeah. What else? What are not repeats here?
I said Borderlands 3. Uh,
Forza Horizon 5,
right,
Gears of War 5,
sure.
and Wheel of Fortune Jeopardy combo. That's a big one.
Yay! Wheel of Jeopardy.
So, this had a lot of people talking. If it could be real, if any of it's real, what it could mean for some of these titles. Splinter Cell? Does it means we might get another Splinter Cell game? That's not.
Are we getting Sam Fisher? Is he coming back?
Maybe. I mean, we know that Sam Fisher had a cameo in Ghost Recon Wildlands. I only know
Yeah.
that because it says it in the article because I never played that game.
Yeah, I remember that story popping up. This is some of it is maybe likely. I think that this is the case here is that somebody working for Walmart Canada, some Canadian person working for Walmart,
Some Canadian from Canada.
yeah, this is just some kind of Canadian that knows about games. Probably put all these up as placeholders, like just mostly. Some of them obviously like he might know about, but a lot of them I think are just guesses. Where it's just like, there's probably going to be a Rage 2, there's probably going to be a Splinter Cell game at some point, Just Cause 4. Like, some of them are obvious. Like, some of them we've already heard about or have been hinted at. And I think that somebody just put all these up as placeholders in case they get announced. And if they don't, they're just going to take them down, you know. But I usually wouldn't lend these kind of things much credence, but there are some interesting connections, specifically with Rage 2. I think that's the one that actually kind of catches my eye because Rage specifically commented on this,
Yeah.
on this whole thing happening, kind of in a cheeky way. On their Twitter account, they said like, "Oh, this is the wrong box art, wrong font, doesn't have the Anarchy A," and then like I think even who's that guy? The guy for Bethesda, who's the press manager, I forgot his name. But he commented on it, and I mean Bethesda's got another showcase at E3. Like they make a lot of games, but not that many games, you know. Like so they have to show something. It's been a couple years since Doom in 2016. It's been a long while since the first Rage, and so id's got to be working on something. If they're far enough along that they can show it at E3, that'd be cool. Like 2 years in. So I think that that's a possibility. I think that's a strong possibility. Especially because they commented on it and all that. Gears of War 5, maybe. Like, we might see that at Microsoft's conference. Because, I mean, they don't... I mean, what else do they have to show for first-party stuff? You know? Besides, like, a new Halo game, which maybe they'll show.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them. Borderlands 3 is another one that I think is very likely. They've been talking about that for a long time now.
Yeah.
And that seems like a big third-party get for E3, where they're like, you know, here's now Randy Pitchford from Gearbox Entertainment, and we're like, and he's like, we've been working for a long time on this game, and we're here to show you gameplay live at E3 right now, and then, you know, exclusive gameplay reveal, and then someone plays Borderlands, you know, a stage part of Borderlands for a couple minutes.
Go suck eggs, Randy Pitchford.
Man, I've seen too many E3s because I just played that all out in my mind, and that's probably what's going to happen.
It's exactly
like
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And while it's happening, if we do live commentary, I'm going to say, go suck eggs, Randy Pitchford.
Go suck an egg like you're some kind of 1920s satirist who says go suck an egg these days. Go soak your fat head. I think Splinter Cell is a possibility too. I can see that. Once again, I can see that in my head. Although, I could see that until Sony kind of leaked themselves. But we'll get to that in a second. But I could see Splinter Cell, like, you know, the auditorium goes dark. It's just a black screen, and then you see the three lights just go on, and then like just a date's like boom, you know, so winter 2019 or something. I could see that happening, but probably not. Seeing as Sony said it's not going to happen. And then there's just some weird ones like Dragon Quest II. But what does that mean?
A game that came out in 1987.
Yeah, a year before I was born.
Yeah, the article posits that perhaps it's supposed to be. They thought it was Roman numerals, but it was really supposed to be Dragon Quest 11. But I have no idea. It's also, so the other possibility, right, is that it's someone who put this up on Canadian Walmart who knows nothing about video games, and they mistyped the titles of some of the stuff. That's
the possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, because that makes Dragon Quest, like, this article posits that it's actually talking about Dragon Quest Builders 2. Which would totally make sense, and that's like, oh yeah, the person just left out Builders because they were absent-minded.
They handed a document to some old lady working at Walmart, and they're like, Suzanne, type up all these, eh?
Yeah,
and
don't forget that she's Canadian.
Right, exactly. And so she like put on her glasses, barely could read the fucking names, and just put them all wrong.
And that would explain why some of them are like Splinter Cell, because maybe there was a subtitle to it, but it was like in a smaller font and she couldn't read it.
Right, and Assassin's Creed without the comma.
Yeah.
Apostrophe, rather.
So, let's see. There's Destiny Comet, which is weird. That's one of those things that works towards your argument of it being somebody who knows a lot about video games who's posting this, because Destiny Comet was actually, seems kind of like a reference to a leak we got a long time ago, when Destiny 1 got its expansions leaked, and they were all supposed to be referred to as Comets, or one of them was referred to as Comet. Obviously, they didn't end up being called that, but that would, I don't know, kind of seem like a weird, like, insider sort of joke.
Yeah, that seems a little inside baseball.
Yeah. Borderlands 3 we already discussed. Lego DC Villains sounds incredibly possible. Like, sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's thousands of Legos games.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
Forza Horizons 5, I honestly don't know how possible that is, because I do not pay attention to racing games.
Yeah, I don't. But I mean, they show that they are always coming out with them. It seems they're always having that moment at the Microsoft stage where they bring out an actual car, and then they talk about how the shaders work for Scorpio for a couple of minutes. I mean, those games always look really pretty. I just don't give a shit about them.
I know, right? Like, they look so good, and it seems like such a waste.
I mean, that's what racing games are for, is to show off hardware. Mm-hmm. It's to show off how pretty you can make your tires. And then you have Just Cause 4, which is, I think, possible, but I think, didn't Just Cause 3, like, not sell well at all? Like,
yeah, that's the weird thing. Just Cause 3, like, didn't do that well, so it would be very strange to see another one.
Specifically out of Square Enix, they own that license, and Square Enix recently with their Western studios have had a history of, if it don't sell well, then we're fucking shuttling the whole thing. Like, we're getting rid of it all. They just did that with Hitman. So it would seem strange to me that if they had an underperforming title like Just Cause 3, that they would finance a game like Just Cause 4, because those are big, I'd say, triple A-ish games. They're not cheap, so that seems kind of strange to me.
Yeah, odd, strange times we're living in with all this Canadian Walmart.
Time. Goddamn Canada. I mean, but fucking amazingly, E3 is just around the corner.
We'll know soon enough.
I know. I can't believe it's already that time. The older I get, man, it's just birthdays.
Yikes.
It's like,
ooh. That, speaking of E3 though, and not our impending demise. Speaking of E3, Sony has some E3 stuff to say.
Yes, I think that it's speaking maybe to the demise of the press conference as we know it. Sony, this is from Polygon. Sony details PlayStation E3 2018 showcase. So Sony's E3 2018 showcase will take place on Monday, June the 11th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and will have a major focus on 4 upcoming PlayStation 4 games, according to Sean Layden, CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment America and chairman of SIE Worldwide Studios. Layden discussed Sony's plans for E3 2018 during an episode of the PlayStation Blogcast. Man, Blogcast, what a portmanteau. Hinting that this year's media event will be different from the ones in years past. In fact, it's not clear yet if Sony is holding a traditional live on-stage press conference as it has done before. Quote, excuse me, we're taking a kind of different angle on how we're bringing it out, Layden said. Quote, the last 2 or 3 years, to the careful observer, you'll see that we continue to try to refresh and remake and reignite what we do at what we used to called a press conference. That's a weird sentence. For E3. Layden explained. We want to make sure that it's fresh and reflects the kind of stories that we're telling and the new entertainment we have to give to our fans, not just at the event, but worldwide with streaming. I don't know why there's an ellipsis. Layden said that the Sony pre-E3 showcase showing will, quote, feature exclusive looks and deep dives on 4 big titles from SIE Worldwide Studios, Kojima Productions' Death Stranding, Insomniac Games' Marvel's Spider-Man, Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2, and Sucker Punch's Productions' Ghosts of Tsushima, which I forgot was a thing until I remembered it from last year, and it looked really cool. Sony's E3 2018 showcase will also highlight games from PlayStation third-party publishing partners and independent studios, Layden said. He confirmed that there will be no hardware announcements during the show, so don't expect the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation Vita 2. Wow, so sad.
PlayStation Vita 2. That's the best joke I've ever heard.
Hey, yeah, I know. It would be great if they're like, we know nobody wants this, but here it is. This year's E3 media event will be broadcast on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Layden said, but it's unclear if Sony will hold a theater press conference for press and fans to attend. On the PlayStation blog, Sony said that it will broadcast the show live from E3 2018 in Los Angeles, California, but didn't specify from where. We've reached out to Sony Interactive Entertainment for clarification. So this is weird. I mean, especially considering how they usually handle E3. They've not announced where it is. They're just saying... And they're announcing what games they're going to show and what not to expect. This, to me, is signaling an end to the classic theater press conference for E3.
Thank Christ.
Yeah, which I'm all for. Because I've never been to E3. I worked at a video game website that did send a lot of people to E3, and from what I could tell, it's a fucking nightmare to work. So I'm all for it. And I mean, yeah, I never understood why video game fans would want to go to E3. Because the experience of just watching it on your computer or your TV is way better. You know, it's like football, American football. It's like, why go to the game when watching it at home is like a better experience. So it looks like they're going to move towards that. I mean, who knows if they'll actually... We don't know for sure if they'll have an actual like theater press conference or not. But it sounds like they're going to go more the Nintendo route of just making a video package that they just release at an allotted time during E3. And yeah, and we know what we're going to see. So this is not to say that they're not going to have like a surprise third party thing there. You know, we've talked a lot about how what is it? Cyberpunk is going to be at E3 probably, almost definitely.
Yeah.
And so that might have a spot in their showcase. I can't remember where The Witcher showcased. It might have been Sony, it might have been Microsoft. You know, and there's other games, big third-party games that need showing that might still be in this lineup, but it seems like we know what first-party Sony stuff we're going to see, which is not too surprising, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, none of the games that they were talking about were surprising at all. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, no, you better freaking show more of Death Stranding so we can understand what the hell it's about.
It's about babies in your throat.
Yeah, obviously. You better show Spider-Man. You better show Last of Us Part 2. What were some of the other ones?
Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah, I mean, you can show that if you want. But...
Yeah, they look cool. I mean, for what they showed.
No, it did look cool. It's just, and the fact that they're not going to show off any hardware, no duh. Yeah. I mean, there were those silly rumors about PlayStation 5 swirling around the internet, but I mean, we called bullshit on that immediately because there was just no way the production schedule worked for that to make any sense. So obviously they're not going to talk about that. I didn't expect them to. But yeah, the fact that it's not a big silly stage show is probably a great idea.
Yeah. And I mean, they've been paring it back. I'd say the past like 2-3 years, where it's become more and more like there's not a lot of like here's, like I was saying before, here's this guy from this studio, and he comes on stage and talks for a little while he like kind of holds his hands and like stumbles over words, and then shows a little bit of gameplay, and then someone else comes out. Sony's been kind of paring it down to, here's just a big chunk of gameplay footage. Here's just, game after game after game with sometimes like an orchestra playing God of War music.
Yeah,
like,
and that's been so much more effective than the traditional stage show approach that everybody else is doing. Like,
they just have Sean Layden come out at the beginning and the end, and he's just like, we're excited to watch this stuff, and then that's it.
Get Aisha Tyler out of here.
Oh my god. Lady Boner.
Oh, no. No!
She wasn't at the last one, though, was she?
No, she was not. So
right. Okay.
Even last year, what was she? Was she Ubisoft? Is that when the one?
Yeah, it's always on Ubisoft, yeah.
Yeah. They have already, even at last year's E3, they figured out that was a bad idea. But yeah, so I think this is good. That's fine. That seems like the big news to me. The fact that they're finally starting to change it up and following suit with Nintendo. Because Nintendo can shake it up and do different weird things, but they always kind of exist in their own bubble for everything. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if Nintendo decides to stop doing stage shows that anyone else is going to follow suit or it's going to become a trend. But if Sony decides not to do a stage show, then that means something.
That means that others might kind of go down the line.
It would be fantastic to me if the only stage show in like future years were just the joke stage shows like Devolver Digital's.
Yes, I would love that. That'd be great.
Devolver Digital, what do we know about their stage show for this year? We got to find out.
God. I hope it's something.
The most excited is about that one.
That was amazing. Yeah, because like it's weird because Nintendo hasn't done a live thing at E3 in years now. I mean, a long time. But it's weird because they kind of they tippered off. It looks like Sony's tippering off, but then there's like new people coming in. Like Bethesda's now done it like 3 years straight. You have the PC gaming show with Day 9, which I like watching, but it's still like I don't think a lot of people like that, And it's strange to me because it seems like while the bigs are like even EA isn't doing it at like the same convention hall anymore. They're doing it like an outside thing at a weird time. But there's like a bunch of smaller publishers coming in, so maybe it might be that E3 eventually kind of turns more into a PAX situation because they're already letting in fans because it used to be just a press event. But now they're letting in fans, and there's smaller publishers that are, smaller in quotes. Ubisoft and Bethesda are still pretty huge, but they're not Sony or Microsoft. It might be that they just have their little showings, they do their thing, and then the bigs just have their video packages that they put out at an allotted time. And it's just fans running around playing games in a sweaty, overpriced convention hall.
Yeah, the fans will love it.
The fans will love it. But you know what fans won't like, Lex?
What?
Nintendo Switch online services.
Oh, no.
I'm working on those segues.
Yeah, it was all right.
Give me a couple decades.
But yeah, the Nintendo Switch cloud saves are coming with paid online service. Hot dog.
Yay,
wow.
I guess.
Yeah, no, so earlier this week we found out a bunch about the Nintendo Switch online stuff. And I don't know, I actually liked a lot of what I saw, but apparently some people didn't.
Yeah, so they're coming out with their online service. I mean, so far now you're going to have to be the expert here because I don't own a Switch. So until now, Nintendo's online functionality has been free, correct?
Yes.
And now it's not going to be free. But with it not being free anymore, there's a bunch of new things that you're going to get, including access to a library of 20 NES games at launch, and more will be, quote, added regularly. Nintendo said the service is called NES Nintendo Switch Online for some reason.
That's bad.
And the launch titles include the 10 listed below. We got Soccer, Tennis, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Balloon Fight, Ice Climbers, Dr. Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Super Mario 3.
Get that Ice Climber in there.
Get that Ice Climbers in there, yeah.
Get Ice Climbers back in Smash Brothers.
That's what everyone says, but apparently it was too hard to program when it was around. According to Nintendo, quote, every classic game in the NES catalog will have some form of online functionality. You can compete. Oh my god, I'm so burpy. You can compete or cooperate online with friends, share your screen, or pass the controller, depending on the game, Nintendo said. Additionally, using a dedicated app for the Switch online service, you can use voice chat. The
Boo.
pricing, boo.
Having a separate app in your phone for online chat is
I know,
stupid.
it's the worst. It's so dumb. It's like, what is this? The 90s? What's going on? The price models, they said that subscriptions will be available for 1 month for $4, 3 months for $8, and $20 for 12 months. And family membership will be available for $35. The family plan allows a Nintendo account holder to, quote, invite up to 7 others to join a family group. How nice. By comparison, Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus costs $60 a year, or $80 if you're in the price gouging Australia, which apparently has drop bears and overpriced video games. That's all I know about Australia. That seems pretty cheap to me. $4 a month seems very reasonable, I think, especially compared to some of these other services.
And it's not going to entirely be worth it from the get-go, because all you get is the online functionality that used to be free. And,
right, exactly.
And then
that's the hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
I think.
See, when that's the thing, right? Like if Nintendo is going to say, okay, the stuff that was free, now you have to pay for it. Now, I grant you that they were saying since the beginning that they were gonna do that, so it shouldn't be a shock to anyone. But you still need to offer people something tantalizing if you're taking away their free stuff. And I think 10 NES games is not that.
No, it is not.
But
because this is more of them, and I mean this will go into the next story too, is that this is more of them just leveraging their old IP catalog. Like, I know this is going to sound bad, but all that Nintendo has, really, besides a lot of great ideas and innovation, is their history. That's the one thing that they can always throw out and be like, yo, you're going to pay for Mario 3 again. Like, for the 80th time, you're going to buy this game again. And people will do it. People will absolutely do it. They're like, we're going to make a little ROM chip, put it into a plastic housing, calling it NES Classic. You're going to buy it again then, too. You know? They always do this shit. And for me, I've been outside the Nintendo ecosystem for a while. But to me, looking at from the outside, it's getting a little old now. Or it's like, buy these 30-year-old games again. It's what we're offering. That's the only thing we're offering.
And it would be one thing if they were offering all of the games for the NES.
Yeah.
Or most of them.
All the Nintendo, like the black box games.
Yeah.
All the
then I would be like, oh, sure, okay. Although one of the things a lot of people were hoping for with this announcement was that they were going to say that we were going to see N64 games or GameCube games. And the fact that we're not even close to that was extremely disappointing for a lot of people, which is totally fair. Also, just the fact...
They gotta save it for the next classic. The next N64 classic is going to come out next year.
Yeah, great. And the fact that they are still going ahead with that goddamn voice chat app. Like, really, guys, you should have announced that you had figured out a way to do voice chat functionality with the Switch by now. Especially since you got all that negative feedback. There are some other things that this article bullet points that I think are important to point out. If you own multiple Switch consoles, you do not need a separate paid online subscription. So Nintendo Switch Online can be used on any device signing in with the Nintendo account that purchased the membership. So that means you can go to your friend's house and sign into their Switch and then get access to those NES games.
Yeah,
I
think they're doing this as I think there's it's Nintendo's family friendly thing. They're thinking of kids.
Yeah,
that want to just play the same thing. But yeah, you can totally just play your friends' games for free.
What else? Individual memberships are only available on the basis of one per Nintendo account. You can create a Nintendo account family group starting on May 15th. Whatever. Switch Online membership only pertains to Switch, not Wii U or 3DS.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah, duh.
I need to dust off my Wii U and put it back into use.
Let's see. You don't necessarily need a Switch Online membership as things like access to the eShop. Yeah, God, I'd hope not. That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
It'd be like, hey, you want to buy any of the games for download we have in the eShop? Well, better pay for a membership. That would be terrible.
It'll be $4 to get into the store.
Yep. So it's cheap and it doesn't offer much. So
Yeah.
I feel like if they start offering more, then it's totally worth it.
Oh, do you know what they could offer, Lex? Fucking a virtual console.
That would be a better idea, wouldn't it?
It would be, but they're not going to do it.
No.
They have announced that they have no plans to release legacy games under the virtual console banner on Switch. This is, once again, you're going to have to be the arbiter of the news here, because I don't know a ton about the Switch ecosystem currently. But from what I've heard, a lot of people really wanted a virtual console. In fact, many thought that the virtual console was imminent on the Switch. But Nintendo has confirmed that Virtual Console is not to return on Switch. In a statement to GameSpot, the company said, quote, "There are currently no plans to bring classic games together under the Virtual Console banner, as has been done on other Nintendo systems. In lieu of Virtual Console, NES, Nintendo will offer a program called, like we said, the NES Nintendo Switch Online, for why name it that, as one of the benefits of subscribing to Switch's upcoming paid online service. Players will have access to a library of classic NES games. We are blah, 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 blah. You're going to get the 20 games. The Virtual Console line debuted back in 2006, which is longer than I thought. I forgot that it was on the Wii. But it was on the Wii, and it was available on each of Nintendo's subsequent systems. The line encompassed titles from Nintendo's legacy systems, such as the Super NES, the N64, and each platform has a different Virtual Console catalog. For instance, Game Boy Advance Virtual Console games could only be purchased on the Wii U, while Genesis and TurboGrafx 16 games were released on the Wii. So this sucks, I think, right? This is a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating because Nintendo did all this Virtual Console stuff on past consoles, and all they needed to do was port it over to the Switch, and everyone would be happy, and then be like, okay, well, you should expand it, but we're happy that it's here. But instead, they're like, nah, let's just do something different.
Because we're Nintendo.
And I think part of this might be Nintendo looking at what Microsoft is doing with their service, which I can't remember the name of, Game Pass.
Oh,
right?
Game Pass, yeah.
And thinking we should emulate that, which is not the thought process Nintendo usually takes. But I feel like that's probably what's going on here, and that's going to be their idea of how they're going to do things going forward. And again, that's not a bad system if we just got the freaking game libraries that were already on there. Because if you took away the branding of Virtual Console, and even the way it works, where you just buy the individual game, but instead you said, okay, all the games are still there, but they're just under this different system where you pay a monthly fee and you get to just play them, everybody'd be fine with that. Totally fine with it. But no, they can't do that. They have to release only 20 NES games.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's like they even brought up the fact that like different games weren't even like there was no consistency among the systems that they were released on. Like, you know, you had the Game Boy Virtual Console games, you can only buy them on the Wii U, while the Genesis and TurboGrafx games are only released on the Wii. It's like, that sucks. Like, have continuity. I mean, that's actually one thing I think that Microsoft's super good at, is having continuity.
Oh, definitely.
When they announced the backwards compatibility thing, it's like, wow, that's super consumer friendly, and they always like consistently keep all their stuff together. They even do things like release Rare Replay, where it's just like all their old games up to a certain point, you know, just release in one package. And Nintendo sucks at continuity. They have never been good at it. They've always fucked it up, which I think is ironic because, like I said before, their biggest card that they always play is the nostalgia for their old IP, and they never keep it consistent. Like, the only time that they kept that shit consistent is, like, Mario All-Stars, like, which is, like, one of the best packaged games ever made. But, you know, they can't even fucking... I thought that the Virtual Console on the Switch was a surefire thing. I mean, that the Switch is selling gangbusters. Why would you... You're throwing away money, I think, really. Like, I think that compared to having an online service, if they just had the Virtual Console, I think they would have made more money than the thing that they're trying to do with the 20... fucking NES on Switch Online, whatever system thing. I think that they would have made more money this way.
Even though it would have been a layup for them to put a Virtual Console on the Switch, I was certain that they weren't going to. because of the sort of speculation we'd be getting out of how their online paid system was going to work.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it would be really boneheaded for them to get rid of the Virtual Console. Oh, yeah, all this reporting points toward them getting rid of the Virtual Console. Smart thinking, Nintendo.
Yeah, because, man, Nintendo, it's highs and lows with Nintendo. There's never just a median. It's always, they're either fucking crushing it or they're making boneheaded mistakes.
That's what happens when you're in your own bubble and you just do stuff that isn't tethered to the rest of the world. Is sometimes it's great and sometimes it's really stupid. But no, that critique of the Virtual Console is certainly not new. People have been complaining about that ever since its inception in the Wii.
Yeah.
So bummer, but hopeful. I mean, again, like if they just put all these games out, then no one would care if they branded it differently. And I would totally be able to live with the idea that, like, yeah, I pay a monthly fee and then I get access to all these games, as long as all the games are there, but they're not.
Yeah.
So that's why it sucks.
Right, because I think that for the most part, they're selling to people, they're selling that kind of thing, like the old games, to people like our age and older, who grew up on this shit. They're not selling it to new kids. New kids are not going to play the original Donkey Kong, or like, Super Mario 3 unless their parents make them. So if they're selling it to older people, then why make it such a hassle? We're gonna pay for it anyways. Just give us what we want. We're gonna buy those damn games again. So just make it easier. Don't have to jump through the hoops. But who isn't making it easier on their fans to like them?
Bungie.
That
was a pretty solid segue. I mean, you didn't deliver it very well, but it was a good idea for a segue.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I should start writing these things.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, Bungie's reputation is on the line as Destiny 2's Warmind DLC fails to impress. An article from Forbes from today? Yes, today, this morning. May 11th.
Yes.
So basically this article gives you, it's actually super annoying because the whole beginning of the article is like, hey, do you know who Bungie is? Let me tell you what they made. They made this game called Halo Combat Evolved. And I'm like, yeah, no duh.
This is like trying to be like an editorial think piece for people that don't know what video games are.
Yeah, and it's a little annoying. So Destiny 2 has had problems, mostly because whenever it releases DLC, it's always underwhelming. And this is particularly disappointing because Destiny 1, when it first came out, was, I mean, it was quite a splash, but the thing that really kept it going was that it had really solid DLC.
I thought the thing that kept it going was the Peter Dinklage voiceover.
No.
And the Paul McCartney song that accompanied it.
Yeah, for some reason, those two weird marketing tactics didn't pan out because they were stupid.
Hey, Lex, this wizard came from the moon, all right?
Came from the moon. It's totally deadpan. Not a weird line at all.
Came from the moon.
So this article talks about how then when Destiny 2 came out, it was really weird because people criticized it for having prioritizing PvP over PvE. Certainly, that was annoying for some people. Although a lot of people love the PvP aspects of these games, which, not what I would play them for, but fair enough. And then when the Osiris DLC came out, there was all of this controversy. We talked about it at length about how they took endgame content and then changed it from the base game to the Osiris expansion. So then if you had just bought the base game, you could no longer play some kinds of endgame content until you bought the expansion. So they took content away from you to put it into an expansion that many thought didn't have enough content in it, which I guess is why they took content from the base game to lock in there, which is pretty bad. But
yes.
Let's see. We have this article quotes a review from Destructoid, which I will read the quote. It seems pretty good. It seems obvious that the bulk of this DLC was developed before the game went into recovery mode. Destiny 2 Warmind is a better effort than Osiris, but its limited scope and reused concepts prevent it from attaining greatness. Bit by bit, slowly over the course of the last 8 months, Bungie has been making Destiny 2 a more complete experience experience. It's a shame that so many parts of that whole aren't coming, as several of the story's own developers have put it, until later in the fall. For now, you can rest easy skipping out on the season pass and possibly grab the inevitable Game of the Year edition as the situation improves. So this is a big red flag, because Destiny 2 has been out for a little while, and the fact that they're still like, yeah, no, it's not really a complete experience yet. You're 2 expansion packs into this game.
Yeah.
How have you not made it a complete experience yet? Like, what the hell? But then we have the sort of bullet-pointed grievances with it, which are pretty well presented here. We have the rush storytelling, which is unfortunate. We have recycled content again from the I think it's not even the recycled content in Warmind is actually not recycled from Destiny 2. It's recycled from Destiny 1. It's like
Really?
there's like, I think there was a part of it where you go to the European zone on Earth, and it's like areas that were in playable parts of Destiny 1 that weren't in Destiny 2, and they took them and put them in Destiny 2.
Yikes.
Which is like really bad. Strikes that are repeated story missions, so you get to replay stuff you've already played.
Sure.
New Strike, which is a PS4 exclusive.
Yeah.
So they put some of the very sparse story stuff and blocked it off as a PS4 exclusive, which is so unbearably stupid.
Yeah, it is. Even though, I mean, like, I don't play Destiny, so all this stuff I look at from an outsider's perspective. But to me, it always seemed like they had a special relationship with Sony, where it's like, when I think of Destiny, I think of it being played on a PS4. But yeah, that sucks for everyone else.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, having exclusives for consoles is not necessarily a bad thing when you have, like, different, like, if you, in Destiny, for instance, different armor shaders or special weapons,
or smaller
things and side things that are like whatever. It's kind of a cool thing to have. That's fine. And other games, I remember a lot with last console generation, a lot of games did that actually pretty effectively, where there would be like, here, look at all these unlockable characters or costumes you have if you buy the exclusives for these systems. But
the most famous ones have been Soul Calibur, I think.
Yes, definitely. But when you say, like, okay, here's an expansion that has a very minute amount of story content, and then some of that is locked behind this, I'm like, no, that's such a bad idea.
That's rough.
It says, Mars is cool, but it probably should have already been in the game.
And
Mars
is cool in real life, too.
Yeah. It's better than Curse of Osiris, but that's a low bar, is one of the bullet points, which I thought was kind of funny. And the new Horde mode has potential, but you won't be able to survive it unless you grind levels. So, this is just a big old disappointment, which is troubling because the last DLC was a big old disappointment.
Right. Yeah, you can't... I think, it's telling to how a game's doing if depending on, like, what the DLCs are coming up with. Like, I think, like, the opposite of this is you look at, like, World of Warcraft's history. I think it was great when you said, like, how is your game not finished? You're 2 fucking expansions in. And then I immediately thought of, like, Warcraft. I'm like, by their second expansion, there was the Frozen Throne, and they were already doing, like, really cool off the beaten path stuff that no one thought they were going to do with that game. And it was like, that's how you do it. That's how you do 2 expansions in, your game's fucking rock solid. This is not how you do it.
And it's and I think it's just really disappointing to a lot of people because they look back at Destiny 1 and just think, man, if only they just kept making expansions for Destiny 1 and didn't make Destiny 2. Because
I honestly thought it was so strange that they even came out with Destiny 2. I mean,
and again, if you're gonna, because it, even though it's not an MMORPG, it is an MMO.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you follow the Warcraft model and just not release a sequel, but just keep doing expansions and upgrades? Because obviously that worked for Warcraft.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think it's something that I think that a lot of people, more people are doing now than they ever have, is the games as service platform. And I really thought that Destiny 1 was kind of the tip of the iceberg for that. And I was like, so this is a game that's going to be around for a long time. They may even be around long enough to do something that Warcraft did, which is like a texture upgrade. to make the game look better eventually. But then they're like Destiny 2. I'm like, what? Like, oh, really? It's not. It didn't feel like that long between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Which I thought was strange. Maybe it might have been strange pressure from Activision, where they said like you got to get a sequel out. That's how we're gonna make the money. Maybe it's that Bungie just. I mean, everything about Destiny 1 and 2 smacks me as Bungie are really talented developers. They have some kind of special sauce with their gameplay. They know how to really do really good gameplay. But they jumped into the games of service model, the MMO model, without knowing anything about it. And they just knew about single player, shooters. That's what they made forever. And now they're trying to do this, and they still can't find their grasp. They still don't have a footing, and they're making the wrong decisions. Some of them, I think, are probably pushed by Activision as well. And this just seems to be another fucking step in the path of them not knowing what the hell to do with online games. Which is unfortunate, because they are, I think they're a talented developer, deep down.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's so sad about it. And the fact that they made Destiny 1 and then improved it and made it a really solid game and then ditched it. Seems like
a lack of resources, really.
Yeah. But speaking of publishers who want to push in the wrong direction, let's talk about Electronic Arts real quick.
Let's get away from that unnecessarily wordy article by Forbes.
Yeah. So Electronic Arts will push forward with loot boxes in future games.
Welcome to the Loot Box Show.
Yay!
The Loot Box Hour.
I really wanted to spend only a little time on this.
I know.
But I did want to mention it because I think it's kind of important in light of all of the stories we've done about how Europe is trying to crack down on loot boxes. And specifically, they've talked about FIFA. And said, listen, FIFA's the big franchise in Europe because everybody loves football.
Football.
Yes. So, and they've targeted a lot of the loot boxes in those games and said, listen, kids are playing these games and football and loot boxes are kind of like gambling. So kids are gambling. That's not good. So maybe EA, if you thought about taking some loot boxes out, we might have to legislate, all that stuff. So Electronic Arts, EA Chief Executive Andrew Wilson had an earnings call, right?
I think so.
With his peeps, and he basically said, nope, loot boxes in FIFA here to stay.
Yay, money.
He did say, as you might imagine, we're working with all the industry associations globally and with regulators in various jurisdictions and territories, many of whom we've been working with for some time and have evaluated and established that programs like FIFA Ultimate Team are not gambling. And we don't believe that FIFA Ultimate Team or loot boxes are gambling. So they're basically doubling down and saying, listen, we could do this legally. We're going to find the loopholes to do it legally. We're not going to stop selling these FIFA loot boxes because they make too much goddamn money.
Yeah. Listen, everybody, we don't want to stop making money.
Yeah. Is pretty much what Andrew is telling us. So this is a hard stance to take, and it is important to recognize that right now it is kind of a precarious one for EA to take in Europe because he's right in that they've probably spoken with a lot of regulators, and I'm sure they found all the loopholes to make their loot boxes totally legal, but legislation is currently shifting. So what's illegal today might not be legal next year for the next annual FIFA game. So I think that probably what EA is doing is looking at what their losses would be like. So they're basically saying, we're definitely going to have these loot boxes. And if regulations change in a couple of European countries, that won't impact our sales enough if we lose those countries. So it won't matter. So we're just going to keep pushing forward with loot boxes.
Right. They're going to make a gross profit even if they can't sell in a couple countries.
Unless it's like the entire EU, which is possible but highly unlikely. It's more that it's going to be like the Netherlands and like Belgium and maybe like one other place.
Yeah, and Hawaii. No, Hawaii isn't that's not going to happen. It's unlikely that even if the whole EU eventually changes, it's not going to happen all at once. It's going to be trickling out over years and years. This is just a bad look for EA in general, I think. Like, this is just like, really? Like, do you want to say that? really right now. Like after everything that happened, after Battlefield 2, after all this garbage.
I think what we've learned about EA over the years, however, is that they don't really care if it's a bad look for them as long as they're making money, and they're making money. So it's just not what they prioritize. There's a hilarious line though out of this that I think is fantastic. That's where he says, "We're always thinking about our players. We're always thinking about how to deliver these types of experiences in a transparent, fun, fair, and balanced way to our players, and we'll communicate with regulars around the world on it." So he keeps being like, "Oh, we just care about our players," but you really need to look at the subtext, and and it should be, we're always thinking about our players' pocketbooks.
Yes, exactly. We're always thinking about how we can get more money from you. And I mean, let's be honest. Video games are not a non-profit industry. Companies got to make money. That's how they exist. That's how they make more games. They got to, satisfy their shareholders. And I don't begrudge a company for trying to make money. You got to. But once again, it's just a bad look. It's just they could have taken this stance internally and just not said anything, because everyone knows that they and Activision are going to keep loot boxes around as long as they can, because they came right up last year. They came right up to that limit to see how much blood they could draw before someone slapped their hand away, and then they're like, all right, that's exactly this is the limit. This is how much we can do before people start getting really pissed. They came up to that limit. They found the limit. And I think everyone just knew, they're like, all right, they're not going to cross that line anymore, but they're still going to suck us dry, for all we have up to that limit. So I think it'd be way smarter for these big companies to just not say anything. Just have the loot boxes and just don't say anything.
Yeah.
And just shut up. Everyone knows the loot boxes are there. Just shut up, EA. Just shut up. Just don't say anything.
Shut your mouth.
Shut your fucking mouth. Just get away from me.
Andrew Wilson, shut your goddamn mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, what a stance! What a stance to take, Lex. What a hot take. So yeah, it's just a boneheaded move. It's as boneheaded as people buying illegal Counter-Strike skins. Stop. Damn it! I'll get better at it, I swear.
Okay, so there's a story. Last story of the day is about some countersuits. Basically, Twitch is countersuing a gambling streamer who it banned. So this is a story from
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, so this is a story from the 10th from Kotaku. And do you guys remember that whole CSGO gambling controversy from a while back with all that skin gambling?
Skin in the game.
Ugh. You probably do. You may not specifically remember James Phantom Lord Varga. Ugh.
I just want to point out that a girl, Cecilia D'Anastasio, who's written this article, obviously found it funny that his name was that, because she used it like twice right in a row. It was just funny to write out, I bet.
Yeah.
James Phantom Lord Varga.
I'm just shocked that the O in Lord is not a 0.
Is not. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because that's like what you'd expect,
Yeah.
So good on Varga for for having it just be letters instead of numbers.
Yes, what a gentlemanly move.
Mm-hmm. So basically, he was doing lots of streams on Twitch when this was happening, which was like in 2016, I think.
Yeah.
And he said he was streaming him using the gambling sites and winning big on the gambling sites. It was then later revealed that he owned the gambling sites. And it was very likely, although I don't know if it was proven, but it was very likely that all of the streams of him gambling were rigged.
Yeah.
And although that hasn't been proven, it's like, obviously, that's what has happened. So he was getting people to go and gamble on these sites to make him money. This, unfortunately, is not an uncommon story for the CSGO gambling controversy of the time. But what was good is that at the time, Twitch was like, hey, that's not cool, and they banned him.
Mm-hmm.
And in January, a really long time after his ban, he decided, hey, Twitch, I'm going to sue you because you shouldn't have banned me and you cost me a bunch of money by banning me because Twitch was my career.
This is the Phantom Lord you're talking about.
Yeah, this is the Phantom Lord. You don't mess with the Phantom Lord. So, let's see. What did he claim? There's something about what he claimed specifically. Let's see. He denied the allegations against him, called them unsubstantiated, but didn't specify that he didn't own CSGO Shuffle, which was the gambling website.
Yeah.
As a result of Twitch's improper suspension of Varga's Twitch.tv account, and also as a result of Twitch's misinterpretation as to what content Varga was permitted to broadcast, Varga has incurred significant monetary damages. So, yeah. Oh, also, it's worth pointing out that these days, you can pretty much broadcast whatever on Twitch. They have, like, you can do, like, lifestyle stuff. You can just broadcast you eating food or sleeping or whatever. But back when this controversy happened, you were only allowed to do games. So the fact that he was broadcasting him using this website was part of the reason why it was a violation, just because you weren't allowed to broadcast that at the time. So he was so he filed the suit in February 14th. And as of this week, Twitch is like, oh, you're going to sue us? We're going to countersue you because, you think we owe you money? No, you owe us money.
Motherfucker.
which is pretty great because it's a funny little legal catfight, but also because Varga's not going to win. He wasn't going to win his initial suit, and now he's going to also lose this one, and he's going to have to fork over a bunch of money to Twitch, and I have no sympathy for him because he's a horrible person.
You're saying this about the Phantom Lord,
The Phantom Lord. I can't believe I'm saying this about the Phantom Lord, but
I know our Lord and Phantom.
But I have a special hatred in my heart for all of these people who were involved in the whole skin gambling thing, because they were basically just getting kids to gamble away their parents' money and for their gambling addiction, and basically just for these people to line their own pockets. And it was really, really gross and horrible. So, I hope this guy loses big, as I predict he will, and we never have to see him again because he will be penniless.
Yeah, the Phantom Lord against Amazon's lawyers, I don't think.
Yeah, there's no way he wins that.
Too bad the bully hunters aren't around to stop this guy. What is it with CSGO and the controversy? There's always something going on. There's always something really stupid going on with CSGO and some horrible aspect of the gaming community. Anyways, may the Phantom Lord fall.
Okay, so let's talk about some games that just came out.
Games.
So earlier this week,
I don't know why I sounded like a ghost there. Games. The ghost of games past.
Yep. Earlier this week, a game came out that everybody loved, and you purchased, called Pillars of Eternity 2: Deadfire.
Yeah, it's fucking rad. It's really, 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 really cool. It is way more. I thought it was going to be like really high fantasy. It is high fantasy. I thought it was going to be really high fantasy with just a dash of a pirate seasoning. But it goes all in on the pirate stuff. It is a pirate fantasy game. Like it's all about pirates. It's all about port cities and colonialization and stuff like that. But it's fucking awesome. And I can't wait to stop the show so I can play more of it.
Amazing. So that's cool. Yeah, that's been getting rave reviews, which I'm super happy about.
And I found so far I found Liam O'Brien, his character, and I've heard Taliesin talk as a god, and I found Marisha's character as well.
Nice.
So
all those famous voice actors.
All those famous voice actors. It's really actually kind of distracting being a Critical Role fan and playing this game, because now I'm just like, oh, that's Marisha's talking again. Like, I can't think of it as the character.
Well, that's funny, because that's what Dan would always tell me whenever he's playing, like, a JRPG, where the American voice cast are, like, some of the people from Critical Role, and he's always like, oh, get that sweet Liam O'Brien in here.
Yeah.
It's
Matthew Mercer again. I actually heard him recently in some other game that like he wasn't promoting, and I guess I just have like a good ear for that stuff, because I'm just like, oh, that's Matthew Mercer doing a Russian accent. Like, I've heard him do that before.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
So yeah, that game came out. Everybody loved it. Everybody's loving it. And then later, we will be getting some of the upcoming games are Battle Chasers Night War for the Nintendo Switch.
That's a hell of a name.
Which is a JRPG style game, but it is made by a Western studio, and it's based off of a comic book.
Interesting.
So that's weird, but it actually looks like pretty good, so I should check it out. And Little Witch Academia Chamber of Time.
Yay! Whatever that is.
I mean, sounds great.
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux for the 3DS. That's cool.
You want your Grimdark Pokemon? We got it.
Yep. Then
have you ever played any of those games?
I've seen gameplay of them, quite a bit of it, but I have not played any of them.
They're kind of fun.
Yeah.
They're very Japanese, but yeah, basically Grimdark Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. On the 17th, the Banner Saga is coming out for the Switch, which is very cool.
First one?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, man, there's a bunch of stuff coming out for the Switch in the next, week. But it's all re-releases of stuff, or most of it is re-releases of stuff. Like Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition on the 18th.
Yay. Fucking those games. Those Musou games. Who cares?
Great.
Oh, they're making another Elder Scrolls Online Somerset thing. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I played that game for a little bit, and it was really fun. I should get back to it. I wanted to play the one, because they did one that's like Morrowind now. Yeah. And now apparently Somerset Isle, which is where the High Elves come from.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I played that game initially, and then when they did a thing where they took off all of the the zone barriers, so you could just go wherever in the game, and I just immediately went globetrotting to find the coolest looking places, and I found a bunch of really cool looking places, and I enjoyed it for a month, and then I fell out of it. But I should get back into it and do more of that, because it is a really well put together MMO.
Yeah, it is, and I'm usually not really that into MMOs, but that one was, because I usually just play solo, but that game actually, the quests were designed in a way that actually worked for solo, I thought.
They definitely did. And the fact that it's a free-to-play game, for a free-to-play MMO, it is, a pretty high caliber.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe I'll jump in and try it again.
Just jump right in, get in there.
Jump in.
So that's it for us for this week. I've got I don't know what I've got to get back to doing. I've got to do something. Chris has got to get back to playing Deadfire and hanging out with his sister's cat.
Yay, Harley.
Yeah, so is Harley Thunderpaw?
Yeah, Harley Thunderpaw, the Maine Coon.
That's so good. That's such a great name.
I'm going to put an eye patch on him. He's going to be captain of my pirate ship.
Yes. Captain Thunderpaw.
Captain Thunderpaw.
So cool. Thank you, everybody who listened. I have been your host, Lex, joined by my co-host, Booj. And we can be found on the social media such as Facebook or Twitter. You can find us on Facebook by searching Don't Copy That Floppy. You can find us on Twitter at our handle at DCTF Podcast. When new episodes are either about to air or have just gone up, we post those, so you can always keep up to date on new episodes. Also, if you want to check out show archives, best places to do that are either to go to our lovely benefactor website, chipbit.net, and check out our archive there, or you can go to our iTunes, which is just you can find by searching Don't Copy That Floppy in iTunes podcast area. And you can like and subscribe and all that good stuff. You can leave us a rating and review. We'd super appreciate it. Great way to help the show. And if you also want to help the show and you have so much money you don't know what to do with it, you can go over to our Patreon and give a little money every month and get access to bonus content, which is basically just more podcasting. So
yay.
If you love podcasting, you just get more podcasting. How about
what the world needs is more podcasting.
Yeah, there certainly isn't a wealth of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks again for listening. And Chris, what do people have to remember?
Don't copy that floppy.